Majority Report with Sam Cedar, where every day's Casual Friday. That means Monday is Casual Monday, Tuesday, Casual Tuesday, Wednesday, Casual Hump Day, Thursday, Casual Thurs, that's what we call it, and Friday, Casual Shabbat. The Majority Report with Sam Cedar.
It is Friday, August 4th, 2017. My name is Sam Cedar. This is the four-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, it's Casual Friday. Of what could have been so far the most effed up week, 8 days of the Trump administration. Cliff Schecter will be here to help us make sense of it all. And then to digest it, Matthew Film Guy will be here to help us digest it. Also on the program today, Mueller convenes a grand jury. And Democrats just lost another governorship. Meanwhile, Secret Service needs to up its money laundering game if it wants to stay in Trump Tower. And Bibi, a suspect in a fraud investigation, or what we call a fake news investigation.
It was fake fraud because the Labour Party, they hate. They are filled with unfairness and hate. Totally unfair.
And Michael Flynn files yet another amended disclosure, this time raising the specter of the Mercers.
Dad!
All this and more on today's program. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am actually at a undisclosed location at the moment in anticipation of my daughter. And this is going to freak out a lot of long-time listeners of the program. Mila is turning 12 this week. And so we're having our annual sleepover with, 15, half a dozen of her friends. And so I am already half in the bag because I need to anesthetize myself because it's
very good parenting, Sam.
Yeah, no, it's
tremendous.
Great. Well, the point is you preload before any of the kids get here, so
right.
They just think Mila's dad is so weird.
So you don't have to emotionally deal with your own children or her friends. You get intoxicated. Yes, very good. This is good parenting.
If the number of infections that you've gotten actually don't prevent you from having children in the future,
wow.
You're going
Jesus.
to really eat your words. But,
really went in on that one.
Well, I mean,
he wasn't joking about half in the bag.
Yeah, it was not.
Folks, I should also warn you that if you're listening to the program, we may end up doing this in the fun half. We may end up doing it in the just the regular half. I don't want to say the non-fun half, but the not as fun half. If you do have children and they do listen to this, know that today we'll be playing the Scarramucci audio. So you may want to, we will give you ample warning, but it is not safe for work.
Has your daughter
unless, of course, you're working in the White House.
Yeah.
And apparently it's perfectly safe for there, at least for a couple of days before you get rolled out.
Have you ever has Mila ever called you a fucking paranoiac?
I mean, not actually. Just you need another adjective before the fucking paranoiac, but so not. last night Donald Trump, of course, was in West Virginia and giving a rousing and disturbing speech. I mean, this week, we're going to get to Cliff in just a moment, but this week has been, in my estimation, and the weeks are running together now. I don't remember when was the Boy Scout speech. That was last week, right? Or was that
2
this
weeks
week?
ago?
No. Really? Was
at
it?
Least I think it
the
was
past couple of weeks.
And sometime I don't know. It's like everything is a blur.
It's getting a little bit. It's starting to run together.
It was last week.
It was last.
It was last week, but towards the end of last week, and then there was all three speeches last week, right? And this was just sort of the revenge of the white supremacists this week, and the full-on bigotry and hate project that the Trump administration is pursuing. But he is going to have problems in the Senate. I mean, we're going to get to this with Cliff, but there are two separate bipartisan bills, and it's sort of funny that I guess Lindsey Graham and Cory Booker were trying to lay low with their bill to prevent Robert Mueller, or I should say amend the mechanism in which Robert Mueller could be fired. And they got beat to the punch by Coons and Tillis to introduce their proposal. Apparently, so there's these two competing proposals, and they have said that they will merge them when they return from recess. Also, know that during their recess, Republicans will be performing the same kabuki theater that they did during the Obama administration, which prevented Merrick Garland from getting a recess appointment. It was also basically comes from that ruling involving the National Labor Relations Board appointees that Obama had appointed maybe back in 2010 or 11. But they will be maintaining a series of basically shell motions so that in the event Donald Trump fires Jeff Sessions from his position as Attorney General, he will be prevented from putting a new head of the Department of Justice in his place. Now, it's unclear to me why there wouldn't be an acting head of the Department of Justice, an acting Attorney General, whose authority would supersede the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, who would not necessarily have to recuse themselves from the Russia investigation. But it is also possible, and now that I say this, that maybe the succession is such that Rod Rosenstein would become the acting Attorney General automatically. I don't know about that, but somebody will IM later in the program and correct me on that, I hope. But that's basically where we are. I mean, we've talked a lot about what's going on from a policy standpoint this week, and we're going to hear a little more about the grand jury. Also, the implications of the Democrats losing another governorship, and to the extent that the Democrats have not really paid attention, it seems to me, to the governorships that are coming up for re-election in 2018.
Hillary won the popular vote. Sexist.
Are you saying that's... Did you have a problem on Twitter last night, Michael?
I was not on Twitter last night, but I could imagine the response to even saying that among certain members of the Democratic coalition right now. We lost another governor. Well, yeah, I hope you enjoy that male privilege of yours. Hillary won the popular vote.
There's been a couple of there was this. Did I mention this the other day? That Neera Tanden tweet about
yes.
Kamala Harris, and still has got stuck in my craw quite a bit. And apparently, that's that whole talking point is still going around.
People are reacting very strongly against a Ryan Cooper article on the topic now.
And Ryan Cooper's article could not be sort of more measured and basic. But who's the guy from Maryland, the guy who's actually announced that he's running for president? The congressman, you know what I'm talking about? Henley? Is that his name?
I mean, he's sort of a blue dog who's now sort of posing as a progressive.
But he supported fast track for TPP, and my point is like, yeah, his feet aren't being held to the fire because he's like utterly irrelevant. Like in some ways, you could say the fact that Harris, Patrick, and Booker are getting their records are getting scrutinized is like actually great progress because they're going to be three very important candidates if they run. Like,
yes,
the reason Henley's not, and they're all corporatists, and the reason Henley isn't getting, put under scrutiny as a corporatist because nobody cares. He's utterly irrelevant.
It's the same reason why Martin O'Malley did not garner a lot of attention from progressives because nobody perceived him as being a potential threat for the nomination.
Actually, every time I criticized Hillary, I also took the time to criticize Martin O'Malley as well.
Right.
Well, you're very studious, Matt. You're very good that way. But did you take time to also criticize, I can't even remember his name now, Lincoln Chafee? No, I remember you didn't because you didn't have enough room in your tweets.
I was in the bag for Chafee.
Chafee was actually a pretty good, I wish Chafee was able to do something other than embarrass himself because he actually had some good points to make.
Yes, but depressing. I think the fact that he embarrassed himself suggested that maybe he didn't have some good points to make. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be talking to Cliff Schecter.
Stand up straight at the foot of your love. I lift my shirt up. Stand up straight at the foot of your love. I lift my shirt up. I was carried to Ohio in a swarm of bees. I never married, but Ohio don't remember me. Lay my head on the hood of your car. I take it too far. Lay my head on the hood of your car. I take it too far. I still owe money to the money I owe. I never thought about love when I thought about home. I still owe money to the money I owe. The floors are falling out from everybody I know. I'm on a blood buzz. Yes, I am. I'm on a blood buzz. I'm on a blood buzz. God,
All right, we are back. Sam Cedar on the Majority Report. On the phone, ladies and gentlemen, is a person who is so prominent on this program that it inspired this tune, which we listen to religiously every Friday.
Cliff Schecter, Libertas LLC. New media, public relations, and strategy. You want any of these services, you know who you gotta see. Cliff Schecter, Libertas LLC.com.
Yes, it's Cliff Schecter. Cliff, could you hear your theme song?
I could.
Oh, good.
It sounded as wonderfully sexy as it always does.
Oh, indeed. Well, Cliff, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
There is, of course, a it's a big day for the Trump administration. We got another. You guys in New York, you got to keep it down because I can hear you. Let's. I don't know. This week
there wasn't much that went on the last week, was there?
Honestly, it is crazy. It is. I mean, I was trying to go over this week, and the amount of activity, really across the board. I mean, the only thing that seemed to be quiet was sort of vaguely on the legislative front, but not. It's mostly stuff that's happening behind closed doors. There's a real question as to whether or not the Democrats are going to bleed a couple of members in tax reform, and certainly Paul Ryan seems to think tax reform is going to be somewhat easier. But I think part of that is because it's got to be less ambitious now because they don't necessarily have the
money to devote to it.
Because they weren't able to cut back on Medicaid, in the Affordable Care Act. Now, they still may be able to.
Even though Ron Paul wants to go after Social Security, that's not going to happen. That's a non-starter. And none of them are going to touch defense. So where do you find that nice big pile of money you give back to rich people?
Yeah, I think we're going to see probably more likely some type of large-scale foreign repatriation of money, or, maybe a sort of somewhat similar to 86, where you see they will pass tax cuts and offset those so that there's no impact on the deficit with loopholes and whatnot, and then 6 months from now they reverse the loopholes.
That's pretty much the way it goes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting. I mean, there's no doubt in the past they've been very successful at dividing Democrats on the issue of taxes. It's much easier to demagogue than something as sort of as complicated as healthcare, particularly when you didn't know it was going to be all that complicated because nobody could have known. I joke, of course, but I mean, taxes. It's Republicans have been successful demagoguing on that issue for a long time now. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because all those red state Democrats who stood firm when it came to Obamacare may not stand as firm on taxes.
Well, we know,
again, as you point out, there's not as much to give, but
we know that Donnelly, Heitkamp, and Manchin refused to sign on to that letter that the Democrats sent to McConnell saying, we'll join you if it's deficit neutral taxes, if it's not done by reconciliation, and you will not give tax breaks for millionaires, which is, it's pretty stunning that, anybody would cop to not wanting to sign that letter. But it was probably, I don't know. I have not seen Heitkamp or Donnelly or Manchin asked. Go ahead.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Just because I'm wondering. So McCaskill and Tester signed?
They did.
Interesting. Okay. So they've got 3. I mean, again, that's enough, but it's still interesting to me that McCaskill actually stands firm on these kinds of things, I think, more sometimes than people give her credit for. Tester's been interesting back and forth. He's got a populist streak, but he's not always been there. So that's interesting. Okay.
All right. So with that said, let's talk just a little bit about what happened in West Virginia last night. Donald Trump went down there for the second time in 2 weeks, right? I mean, because the first time, that's where he gave his really impressive Boy Scout speech, where he discussed the finer points of an orgy with the Boy Scout troops, and then
with 9-year-olds,
and then ended up getting
need to learn these things,
and then ended up getting caught in a jam when he lied about what the Boy Scouts did, and his credibility had to go up against the Boy Scouts. I mean, literally, it's like...
Right. Well, I mean, there's an expression for that, right? This guy's a Boy Scout or not a Boy Scout. So generally, when you go up against them and they say you're lying and you say that you're not lying, most people are going to go with them, even if you haven't been caught being a pathological liar for them forever. Also important to note, Sam, that what happened that night, sadly, was Anthony Scarramucci's son was born, but he more importantly needed to be at the Jamboree speech than where his son was being born. So that was an important note that night, too.
Well, yes, indeed, and we should say, yeah, when it's almost like a cartoon, right? I mean, it literally is almost a cartoon. Like, who are you going to believe, the head of the Boy Scouts or Donald Trump? And
that's right.
And so he returned to West Virginia last night, and which is probably the state where he's the most popular in the country. Maybe North Dakota comes in second. I'm not sure, but he's over 50% approval rating in West Virginia.
Or Oklahoma. There's a few other very rural states, but yeah, I mean, he cleans up. I mean, West Virginia, I think it was a plus 40 differential originally.
Yes.
When he won by. And so it's, if there's anywhere that, and again, what I think you're getting towards, right, is the switching of I will put it in quotes, Democratic governor to Republican, even though this guy refused, Jim Justice is his name, refused to endorse Hillary Clinton as the nominee, and probably would have refused to endorse any Democratic nominee, and ran as a conservative Democrat, and most importantly was a Republican as recently as 2 years ago.
Yes,
and a coal mining executive. Coal mining executives in states that Donald Trump won by 40 points are known for hating Donald Trump.
Well, he also happens to be a good friend of Donald Trump's son. He was in the limo with Donald Trump when he went to the Boy Scouts. Here is Governor Jim Justice of West Virginia in a speech saying he's switching to the Republican Party. And listen to how he articulates this. You guys ready to play this?
This man is a really dear friend of mine. But you know what else is unbelievable? This man now has a chief of staff that all of us can pronounce his first name.
Okay.
He didn't like Reince Priebus, I guess, and he likes
I guess not.
John Kelly. But I'm not sure exactly what the point he's trying to make there, other than Reince.
I'm not really sure either.
Priebus, but
is that supposed to be implying that Reince Priebus isn't a real American, maybe an immigrant or something like that?
It could have been worse. He could have said, "At least now we have a white president," and and
then he would have said what he really meant when he switched parties.
Now, let me ask you this: I don't think that it's likely to happen now, and but Joe Manchin, it strikes me, in maybe a different era with a different president, might have been a guy who switched parties, right? I mean, he's up for a tough reelection. We saw Arlen Specter do this in Pennsylvania to become a Democrat.
And you pointed out Heitkamp before, being from North Dakota, that would potentially be a possibility too.
But
although Manchin's closer because Heitkamp is really only very bad on one or two issues, whereas Manchin is, falls in on choice and a number of things. Has he ever come around to marriage equality? I still think he may be the only Democratic senator who hasn't come out for marriage equality. So you're right. Manchin would definitely be the most, where he's from and his position, the biggest suspect.
I've also heard, there was a time, remember, Manchin was one of those guys who was invited to the White House. And so there was some question as to whether he would be a guy who would be appointed to a cabinet secretary position. Right. And I've heard some theorize that now that the governor is Republican and would presumably appoint another Republican, that Manchin might be less inclined to do that. I'm not sure I fully understand that at this point. If you're gonna
that would imply that Manchin cares about such things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if he does or not. I suspect he doesn't. But maybe I'm wrong.
But if that's the case, then the idea of him being appointed to a cabinet secretary position, right? I mean, I don't know. Let's say they move Rick Perry over from Department of Homeland, to Department of Homeland Security, and energy secretary opens up. I don't know. Joe Manchin may go in there thinking that it would be just him meeting with oil executives, and
that's true. Or why couldn't they just put Manchin at Homeland Security?
Right.
I mean, if you wanted to do it, the truth of the matter is that it's not like you need to be qualified in the Trump administration to be appointed to any particular position. I mean, Ben Carson would be sort of an example of that, as would Rick Perry and others. So, I don't know that you could appoint him to DHS, I think, relatively easily.
Or wherever the spot is. Contemplate this for a moment, right? We know that John McCain is going to be tied up in Arizona dealing with his brain cancer. And if Joe Manchin was to flip or to leave the Senate and effectively flipping, because now you have a Republican governor there. Let me just contemplate why this governor did this. He won his margin, I think, by a greater amount than even Trump did. So he's not doing this for electoral reasons. He apparently owes a lot of back taxes, but he's quite wealthy.
He had to make sure to get his party right then. He's the only billionaire in West Virginia. It may have been feeling increasingly uncomfortable to be a Democrat. Not to mention, by the way, you ask other reasons, not to jump into the realm of conspiracy, dun, 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 but the dude did sell his, and this isn't conspiracy, this is fact, it's what you believe about it. He did sell his mines to the Russians a couple of years ago for $600 million, and then as the price of coal went down and coal became less valuable, bought them back for $5 million. That seems a little sketchy.
Well, all that may be the case.
But that's a pretty big differential there.
And so, but the point being, if he's in a position to appoint a new senator, there's a whole, and one who would obviously be more inclined to vote with Mitch McConnell, it could be a problem. So it's just something to keep an eye on. And then
something to pay attention to. Here, the one caveat I'd say to that is, Manchin. One thing I would say about him is he's always seemed to be, I don't agree with him on many things, but he's always seemed to be a relatively smart guy, I think. And you've now got Secretary of Commerce, others lawyering up because they're tied to this administration. So it's not just switching from, Justice can switch because it's easy. He's a governor. He's not in Washington. He is in West Virginia. If you're in Washington and you join this guy's cabinet, this guy, even though he offers no loyalty to you, asks for 100% loyalty. And it's pretty inevitable you'll be lying for him at some point in time, and about what you don't know yet. And that could be the one thing, whereas if this was George W. Bush or any different Republican who at least had a shred of honesty to them and wasn't being investigated on about 4 different levels for various crimes, someone like Manchin might be more willing to do it. Is he willing to jump into that situation? I don't know. It'd be interesting. It's interesting to see. I don't know how anybody could want to join this cabinet at this point, but clearly there are some people still willing to do it. So
yeah, fair enough. So it's just something for people to keep an eye on. The other implications of this is that Justice is now the 34th Republican governor. Republicans control both the governor's mansion and the legislatures in 26 states. Democrats have total control in, are you ready for this, folks? Just 6 states.
That's pathetic.
Now, in 2018, Republicans are defending 27 of 38 seats, and many are in blue or purple states. But I get the sense that the recruiting for governors for Democrats, and I haven't read too much about this, but is not looking very good. And this is, supposedly there's like $10 million behind this effort to deal with redistricting. But if you don't have the governorship in these states, you're going to have a real problem. Obviously you need the state houses as well, but
it's true. Governor has a lot of power. In a lot of states, the example being the one that I'm sitting in, the governor has as much power as the entire, when it comes to redistricting, as the entire body, either the state house or state senate, as a, an individual, right? So, there's, and they've got a much bigger microphone. So there's a lot of power there, and you're right. There must be some stories out there that I'm missing, but I haven't heard of a lot of sort of star recruits. You know what I mean?
It's a little disturbing. But that's, maybe hopefully this will be a little bit of a wake up call. I'm not sure to whom, but maybe to the Democratic Governors Association, if there's anybody in that association at this point. All right. Well, let's turn our attention to the other big latest news. Right. I mean, this has been a really insane week. In terms of personnel, but also
even by Trump standards.
Yeah, even by Trump standards. I mean, there's obviously this, huge turn towards white nationalism, of which the speech last night was sort of the coup de grace of the week. But last night it was reported, I guess it was in the Wall Street Journal and then followed up in the Washington Post, that Mueller has constituted a grand jury and had done so. I mean, apparently it's been around for like several weeks, and it is in Washington, D.C., as opposed to the pre-existing one that was set up before he came on as special counsel in Virginia. And there's a lot of speculation as to why he would use a second one. Some people suggest that maybe it's just convenience. They're based out of Washington, D.C., so you want something close. It's like across the street or around the corner. Another reason is that the likelihood of finding people in a grand jury in Washington, D.C. versus Virginia that are going to be willing to indict members of the former Trump campaign or the current Trump administration are greater. But this is pretty serious news. And also in terms of like what it does in terms of like protecting Mueller's job.
Yeah. Oh, are you there?
Yeah, you there? Can you hear me?
Oh, I'm sorry. I lost you for a second. Can you repeat the last sentence?
Well, also in terms of protecting Mueller's job, right? I mean, there's an existing grand jury now. It looks even worse if Trump fires him.
It does. And you've even got right now bipartisan groups of senators. So clearly all these senators realize the truth, or many of them do, about Trump and detest him. They're just cowards, right? But now you've got bipartisan groups who are working on bills to pass aimed at stopping and making making the courts have the final say on whether Trump could fire Mueller or not. So you clearly have Republicans jumping on board, which I find interesting. So no, I think it gets more difficult all the time for him to do it. It's not to say he can't, but they're making it tougher. There's also bipartisan groups that working on trying to make sure that the Senate stays in session. Did you see that?
Yeah, it's basically up to the Republicans, and it appears that the Republicans are going to do that. Now, that's not as shocking to me because I think Jeff Sessions has a lot of friends in the Senate, Republicans. Right? Was it Grassley who said that the Judiciary Committee doesn't have the time to deal with replacing an attorney general? He said, we're doing, I can't remember the quote, and this maybe, I guess, from a week and a half ago. He said, we're just going to, we've got our schedule already. We're doing judges. We're doing head of the FBI, and
right.
we don't have time to do an AG, which was his way of signaling like, if you fire him, you're not going to get a new AG for a while.
Yep, that's kind of what they were saying, and so that's the other thing is they're thinking that during recess he could push out Sessions and bring in somebody new without a vote for a year, and so that may be the biggest reason is that these guys are loyal on the Republican side are loyal to Sessions. I mean, it's weird when you find yourself the beliefs that we have. And yet I feel like at least on this whole thing, I have to root for Sessions because the more people that Trump fights with that are in power, it means that there's more checks on power. You know what I mean?
I'm going to have to disagree with you on this one. I mean, I think the damage, right? I think that if Trump was to try and fire Mueller, that Mueller at this point has probably figured out other avenues in which this thing could continue. In addition, of course, to these bills that the Senate are pushing at this point. But I mean, you think about it just like what Jeff Sessions has been doing this week in terms of attacking affirmative action, gay people's right to not be discriminated in terms of work, and of course his ongoing project to disenfranchise voters and immigration.
And medicinal marijuana.
And medicinal marijuana. They were talking about getting more funding for, or making sure that the funding for the Department of Justice, there was funding there for them to interfere with states that have legalized marijuana. I mean, Jeff Sessions, to me, is about as bad of an attorney general, which I think is, one of the more important positions in our government, frankly, that you can get. And so I would be happy to see him gone, but he has.
I mean, it's a tough one for those reasons. I kind of agree with you, and then at the same time, if you get someone, well, I don't know. You have to think out the thought experiment, because if you get somebody in there, even who will do whatever he wants, and but if the main basis is firing Mueller, that still could kick up quite a storm at this point. So, maybe that's correct, Sam. I don't know.
I mean, who is...
You brought me back to reminding me why I hate...
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, where are you going to find somebody who is as racist and bigoted and creative about it as Jeff Sessions? I mean, I guess maybe you don't need that much creativity, but he's certainly aggressive, and he certainly knows, like, look, this is what... I mean, all we're seeing now is just a huge sop to the right. We're seeing it from Sessions, heading down to El Salvador and talking about, MS-13. And, of course, and then Trump follows up with his own MS-13 speech. This is it's an El Salvadoran gang. And, Trump's in West Virginia talking about how we saved Long Island from MS-13. I mean, I don't know if you saw that speech, but it was insane, like a lot of it. But we're seeing just an incredible lurch to the white nationalists. And obviously, look, they've been there. It's just that they made it, they're really screaming from the mountaintop. So some of it's performative and some of it is actually, going to have an impact. And I don't know, anything that cuts into that, it's a tough call.
I gotcha, yeah. Especially when you've got Gorka and others wandering around there, who are, have almost been openly white nationalists. I think they have. Bannon and the rest of them, it's true.
And what do you make of what's going on?
It reminds me, it's hard to know ever who to root for in this administration. You've got various groups of terrible people all competing with each other to do various terrible things.
Well, that's the thing, is that has been, sort of exhausting, is you get these leaks, right? And you really don't know what to make of it or why you're hearing from it. Like, for instance, earlier this week in some of the reporting about Kelly, it came out that he and Mattis had made a pact that both of them cannot be out of the country at the same time.
I think it's called the babysitting pact.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit concerning, like, when you're wondering, when you start to contemplate what that really means, it gets a little bit scary. It means to me that they realize this guy is insane. And
when you start paying attention, it's even beyond just sort of realizing he's insane, but looking at what some of the world's hot spots and realizing that if they both were away, he might be able to find a way to do some serious damage. And I'm not even talking about just necessarily, a nuclear war, which sort of everybody thinks of first, but just almost exacerbating situations, whether it's Pakistan and India, right? Or India and China, or, North Korea, or, various spots in the Middle East, that they're just, there's plenty of places where things he says and he does could actually lead to further violence and many people dying. It's incredible that they don't think they can actually be away.
Well, and then also you're caught in this position of like, boy, I hope the generals stop him. I mean, that's not something that you you want to be saying in a democracy, right? I mean,
no.
And it's
and yet we found ourselves. I mean, from the beginning, I thought those were the two most qualified members of the administration that he put in. Were those two to do what he wanted them to do, who had any experience in and yet
two most competent.
I don't like it because
right.
And it doesn't mean that I want them in there. I don't like having generals in positions like that. At the same time, when you all like everything else in life, it depends who you're comparing them to. It's sort of like some of the members of the intelligence community. I tend to like checks on that power too.
Yeah,
but people was seen more competent and less corrupt and white nationalisty than the people he's putting in other places. And so it's almost like we're relying on the people that we're usually most suspicious of in a democracy. It's a strange situation.
Personally, I would have liked to see Scarramucci hang in there for longer than as opposed to Kelly myself. I mean, for not just the obvious reasons, but also for, I think it's the more incompetence that we can lard up in those situations, the better, I guess. Although then, you're faced with like, hey, what if we actually do have a crisis that is not of Trump's making or that is prevented? It's really
I do have to say, we're back to what we were talking about with Sessions, right? Where you're sitting there, you're like, what's better? Pick your poison. In that way, I do have to say, when it comes to a foreign policy crisis, I like having Kelly closer. I do. And I don't think it's going to stop much of the incompetence. He's still tweeting out stupid things since Kelly's been there. He's still saying stupid things and giving ridiculously stupid speeches. It may cut down on sort of some of the ridiculousness of anybody being able to meet with him at any time, and they may fix his schedule to a certain degree. But I still feel like he still has no discipline when it comes to, what he says and who he says it to. And I don't think that's going to change. I don't think Kelly can do anything about that. Maybe he can rein in some actions. And again, around foreign policy, that might be good.
All right. Well, let me get back to that.
It's just a theory.
Yeah, no, that fair enough. I mean, I honestly, I don't even know if I can. I feel like I can at this point have the mental faculties to sort of even formulate an opinion on one side or the other. I'm concerned about it. But then my initial point was too, which I think I didn't even get to, was I'm concerned that I know there was that deal, like. That deal, right, you would imagine would be Mattis and Kelly on the phone saying, hey, man, this guy's nuts. Yeah, he seems like he could be. Maybe we should agree to not both be out of the country at the same time. No, I'm not kidding. Yeah, me neither. I'm just laughing because I don't want to cry. But so assume it's those two, right, and their attachés, their most trusted advisors. Why do we know this? Like, why why am I able to read this in reporting? Like, what is the agenda?
Somebody felt it was important that we know this.
Yes. Well, one of those two principles.
Well, and again, that can be for a variety of reasons because leaks serve different functions. It could be altruistic, and kind of if you believe that about some of the phone conversations that Trump had with the leaders of Mexico and Australia too. Which is somebody believes we need to know how utterly incompetent our leader is. I think we kind of know that already, but how dangerously incompetent he is, that these guys agreed about what needs to be done and that one of them needs to be in the country. But it also could be just somebody who was taking a shot at Trump or who was angry at him and taking a shot at him when Reince was still there, taking a shot at him and trying to undermine the current structure. Such that it is, and maybe that helps Kelly get into the position he gets into. I mean, there's different, you have to think about who benefits.
Yeah.
And it may not always be for the altruistic reasons.
Yeah. The former explanation, like, hey, these principals want us to know how insane he is without them coming out and saying, like, I'm serving an insane person. Or maybe it's Kelly, trying to defend his honor. A lot of my old friends are asking, why would I do this? Well, I'm doing it because he's crazy. And Mattis and I have a deal to babysit him. I mean, that could be it too.
They're both serving, for a reason, that this is actual government service to prevent disaster.
And
it's sacrifice.
And the thing is, though, if you take that to heart, then you're in that weird position again of going like, boy, I hope Kelly doesn't get fired, because that would mean bad things. Right. So
it definitely helps Kelly. But for all you know, Kelly gets fired and then Mattis comes in. Or, I mean, it's, there's nothing you can predict, because there's
we
no
found
kind
out
of
this
logic
week too that Mattis
follows.
is feeling somewhat even, is being stretched. There was the whole reporting about Trump coming into a meeting with the generals about Afghanistan, complaining that we don't have access to Afghani minerals. He wants Afghani minerals.
We need to steal stuff, like we're going to take the oil from Iraq.
It's been 6 months. Why aren't you guys done? Why haven't you mopped this up? I mean,
why are we profiting from our wars, for Christ's sake?
Then basically saying, like, maybe I shouldn't listen to you generals. Maybe I should just listen to the privates I met because of some story about the 21 Club shutting down, and him saying that waiters knew more about what was going on there than the kitchen staff. Now, that may be the case. I don't know, but I also think it's like one of those sort of myths that he tells himself, and that they're spreading like that's part of his common man connection.
Related to all this stuff, what do you think is happening at this point with Bannon? Right? I mean, there are a number of articles about him being in the outhouse way back when. And again, I read that with the skepticism I read all this stuff with, true, or somebody's agenda or whatever, but he's still there.
He's still there. Around. And if there's ever been a week that reflects his sensibility more than this one, I don't know what week it is.
Exactly.
I really don't.
That's what I was thinking too. Or if you think about immigration, affirmative action, anti-trans, this kind of stuff. I mean,
attack the media. Going on,
they seem
attack the media.
Very Bannon-esque. Yep.
Well,
so who knows? What a shit show.
Yeah.
Pardon my French, folks.
Yeah. Well, speaking of French, we're going to have Anthony Scarramucci audio a little bit later in the program. So we're going to be talking a lot of French.
Ooh. A lot of French. Hey. Yeah. It's an interesting form of French. The nice Goodfellas kind of French.
Well, Cliffy, thank you so much for your time today. We will do this again next week. We will. We barely scratched the surface.
Sam, and I'm sorry, folks. I feel like I'm failing people because figuring out what is going on in this gigantic cluster with all these people floating around, and when you're dealing with somebody who literally changes what they think about an important issue moment to moment and acts as impulsively as this person, I mean, knowing exactly if there's any plan behind anything, what's going on, it's impossible.
Yeah, it really is.
It's incredible.
All right, buddy.
I mean, whatever my feelings on George W. Bush, I knew what he wanted to do. You know what I mean?
Well, there's a combination of with this administration. There's the chaos factor, the sheer performative factor, right? Like, I mean, they came out and talked about that immigration bill that that was offered by Cotton and Perdue, and it was offered in April. And they made the announcement as if it was a new bill because they just needed to. So, I mean, just so nakedly performative. And then there's all the palace intrigue. There's just so many different. And then there's the, legitimate, like, holy crap, do we really want Donald Trump to be in charge of what happens with our relationship with North Korea? I mean, it's relentless. It really is relentless.
Exhausting. I may need to start doing drugs. Not that I'm endorsing that kind of thing.
Well, you can endorse it. I don't mind.
Depends which ones. Not the ones I'm thinking about. All right.
Oh, there it is.
Always a pleasure.
Cliff Schecter, Breaking Bad.
Take it easy.
All right, folks. I'll talk to you later. Take it easy, Cliff.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
There you go, folks. Cliff Schecter heading out into his garage to God knows what, concoct. But what would Michael? What do you think Cliff would call his like meth concoction?
Mike, he wanted to know what Cliff would call his meth concoction.
I have to think on that. What would Cliff call his
I feel like he was more talking about he was going to do heroin. So
yeah, I think Cliff needs more downers.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be
uppers.
like more hyped up about this. He just wants to just fall asleep.
Such a pearl-clutching liberal. Get out on the streets, Cliff.
Get out on the streets.
Cliff should go train and join Antifa. Stop feeling like such a victim to history and become an agent of history.
It's
exactly.
It's my understanding that we have a Jimmy Reefer Cake song. Is that right?
Yeah, it's really tasteful.
I think that you're gonna. I think Sam that even your patience might be tested by this Jimmy Reefer Cake song.
Really? That is, you're really testing some patience. All right, well, let's.
Sam's super high tolerance.
Well, he doesn't in general have high tolerance, but for Jimmy, he does for some reason.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Well, I have high tolerance.
I have high tolerance.
Wait, you're saying you're an extremely patient man?
No, that wasn't what it said. Someone tweeted at me the other day, and I argued for hours.
And then all of a sudden with
Jimmy. I'm
not
sure if I would. Maybe you are patient. Yes, you are.
All right, this will probably change everybody's opinion about Seth Rich. Okay, let's.
All right. Oh boy. All right, and Matt, I've just sent you another fun half audio, but go ahead.
Okay, we'll need a palate cleanser.
Okay.
Seth Rich, click click Russia. Seth Rich, click click Russia.
Russia is better. I colluded with Trump to beat Hillary. Seth Rich is better. I was a DNC leaker and I was mysteriously murdered. Oh, really, fool? Really?
Seth Rich.
Stop looking at me, chicken.
Kim.com.
Kim.com.
Seymourhim.com. 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 Seymourhim.com.
Wow.
Okay.
The beginning's from Billy Madison.
To be fair, I enjoyed that more than Adam Sandler's music. So
right.
That's true.
That was. I don't know how to. I don't know how to react to that. It was. That was also a little abstract.
That was very abstract. The other day, I tweeted something about Dum Dum Left. I don't remember what it was, and Joseph Ballin and Jimmy got at me, and they said that I was delusional and that the Dum Dum Left was a figment of my imagination. And I said, wait, you guys are a figment of my imagination? I need to go check up on myself.
And then the weird part was I wasn't on Twitter.
Yeah, I wasn't. And I realized that it was a simulacra. I was in a Christopher Nolan movie.
I wasn't even holding my phone. I was just sitting at a table at a restaurant talking to myself.
Yeah,
in the mirror.
This would be like a Christopher Nolan meets some type of Jew comedy.
Or it could be
film.
one of those. What was that? Oh gosh, what was that show? It hasn't been on for so long. The Mr. Robot. It could have been one of the.
It's coming back in October.
It's coming back in October.
Narcos.
It could be one of those situations where it's you, Michael. You are Jimmy Reefer Cake.
I am Jimmy. Well,
that would
ultimately,
what if it turned out that you were in fact Jimmy Reefer Cake? Like it was just a split personality.
I would demand
a raise. In the
raise.
office, you have no technical skills.
I would demand
but then
a raise.
at home, you're on sound. You're on some type of audio program, laying down multi-track recordings of yourself. That's Jimmy Reefer Cake.
I would demand a raise.
Well, I mean,
for additional work.
There you go. Matt, do you have that latest fun half bumper?
Yeah, but do we want to play it now, or do we want to do Film Guy Matthew first?
Oh, yeah. Good point. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have Film Guy Matthew.
reminds me. Every usual road's got a sign, and every boy uses the same line. I pledge allegiance to everything now. And every song that I've ever heard is playing at the same time. It's absurd, and it reminds me of everything now. We'll turn the speakers up till they break.
Matthew, the film guy, is choosing your streams. Cassavetes on Netflix and other such themes. Maybe you'll watch one and learn a few things. Please recommend me a movie to stream. Matthew, please recommend me a movie to stream. Matthew, film guy.
Matthew, film guy.
Hello, Sam.
Matthew, are you actually getting a some type of like public service alert on your phone?
How so?
Oh, I thought I heard that. I thought I heard one. I thought I heard like a flood flash warning on that you get on those.
I got that. I was woken up by that this morning, actually, but no, not now.
All right, and so Matthew, thank you for joining us. I see you've been very busy on IMDb these days.
Yeah, well, it's come to my attention that there is no single place for people to refer to see all the films that I've recommended you over the last, I don't know, about 4 years. So I took it upon myself to go through everything and put together what I could to compile that list. So people want to go to IMDb or go to my Twitter, you can see me on there. It's like the Film Guy Matthew, Sam Cedar, Majority Report list. And to be honest, I was shocked. There's 73 films that I've recommended you.
What?
Since we first started doing this.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
How did you How did you compile 73 films? Did you go back and listen to all of them? I mean, to all the
I didn't listen. I didn't have to listen to all of them, but I did. There were some gaps. Like I've kept a kind of a list myself, but then there were some gaps, so I did kind of spot check some old appearances just to see what we recommended. So I could have actually missed a few since it wasn't a totally thorough job maybe, but I feel like 74 is a pretty good list for people to kind of sink their teeth into.
That's
Plus,
crazy.
I'm sure you've seen about 4 of them maybe, or 5.
I maybe have seen probably 2. So I'm just trying to do I'm trying to do the No, I think I've probably watched, I would say probably 15.
15 is about fair, because some of them I might have recommended you already saw.
Yeah.
And then 2 of them were the Elite Squad films. I know you saw those.
I watched
already.
those.
There's 2. Yeah, those are the biggest hits, I think, of anyone that I recommended for you, Sam.
I watched those multiple times, I think.
Okay, well, that explains a lot.
And then what else? There was a couple others I watched, too. I mean, I guess
I mean, it's everything from Nobody's Business, one of my favorite documentaries, 4 Lions. I think that was a big hit with you, about the comedy about the jihadis.
Yeah. I remember that.
I see certain patterns emerge. Like, I've probably recommended every Dardenne Brothers movie, practically. A bunch of Mike Lee movies. Let's see, what else? Elaine May. I think I probably recommended every Elaine May movie. A New Leaf, Mikey and Nikki, Ishtar. Several Iranian movies like 10 by Kiarostami and A Separation by Farhadi, which I love a lot. Pretty much every film that I've had anything to do with.
Right, of course. I mean, I've watched watched every single one of those teacher lounge shows.
That's not listed on here since those are, comedy shorts. But yes, I appreciate that. The Teacher's Lounge web series by Ted Alexandro with multiple comedians you'll recognize. Several Harmony Korine films. This is a good one. Ice by Robert Kramer. We really need to keep watching that one like every year about the underground guerrilla groups and how they splinter apart from inside, made in the 60s.
Right.
Rules of the Game and Grand Illusion by Renoir, 2, iconic classics. Just a lot. Portrait of Jason, Shirley Clark, one of my favorite documentaries. Occasionally,
now,
the more kind of recent films.
Are you going to share this with your Learning Annex class? We're going to, incidentally, I should tell people, we're going to put this in the, we'll put the link into the podcast description and on the site. And when we get our web site redesigned, which we are still in the midst of, we will have a link there, an ongoing link. I mean, you really should do the same thing for Isabel. I don't think she would be able to. She was going to join us today, but she was out of touch. But and I don't think she has the.
You know, I'm always here for you. When Isabel drops the ball, I'm there to pick it up.
Oh yeah, she totally dropped the ball. But
I'm not as cozy. But hey, you can't have everything.
No, you're not as cozy.
You aren't cozy. You're a slob. You're cozy in
Being
your own.
Being slob is how I am cozy.
You're cozy in your own filth. And I miscalled it because Sam didn't care about the Seth Rich song, but he got all worked up about the fade. Hello.
Hello. I'm never more cozy as than when I got Cheetos on my chest, all that kind of stuff.
He's got Cheetos on his chest, and Sam's upstate all angry with balloons around him and drunk.
Hello, Mr. Rosenberg.
Yeah, I don't even know who he is doing now. He's doing my voice to talk about me.
Yes, because you pollute everything with your jewelry.
That's what somebody asked me last night why I got blocked by Seb Gorka. And I said, I think it's because I was on that Samantha Bee used a clip of me mocking him, or because I'm Jewish. I was not sure.
Yeah, it's really either or.
All of the above. Oh, it could be both. It could. Guess what? Double shot. So Matthew, are you going to send your Learning Annex people to your IMDb list? I mean, this is massive.
I was actually thinking of making a second list of all the ones that I actually showed to the Learning Annex class. There is a lot of crossover because I have something prepared to talk about, so it's just at a total convenience. I use theirs for your show.
The truth comes out. You've been sort of double dipping on this stuff.
Yeah, well, that's just like free. You know how those people have to pay like $40 to $50 per class, so that's like a free, that value for your listeners.
I wonder who's going to be more upset, our listeners or those people in the Learning Annex?
I think everybody is equally happy, Sam. I bring joy and the love of cinema to all. So there's no losers here.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, Matthew. And everything else is going on. Do you have any other news to report? Any other projects that you're working on that you need to tell us about, or do we have to go directly to the eBay sales?
What? Gosh, Sam, you make it sound like that's like the default fallback when really that's what everyone's waiting to hear about. But let's just put a pin in that for a second. Okay. I actually do have something funny that I came across in my research through all my old
eBay.
Huh?
Sorry, go ahead.
Damn it, Sam, you are so on top of me. You know all of my tricks. Yes, I am. No, I'm not selling any pins. But that gives me a good idea. I will make a pin.
It's a brooch.
I'm sorry. But Sam, I actually found a voicemail of you chewing me out somewhere around. I'm going through all the old things that I've saved. So I've saved voicemails, phone calls, things that I've recorded, all the kind of ephemera of a life.
Hold on. Wait, I want to hear it. Do you have it?
Yeah, well, let me see if I can pull it up here. Because
I was high with Benjamin, and then I found out that you didn't do that, and I got all upset.
Matthew Film Guy. Let me say this, Matthew, and I don't know what it was. How was I watching pilot season? I was cleaning up, some videos on a computer, I think in the office, and I ended up watching the episode or the scene in pilot season where you come in as my assistant in pilot season, which was the second time you had played my assistant. The first time you played my assistant, you were hired to play my assistant because in a bad situation, it's because you were hired to be my assistant as director, and I didn't want you to be far away from me, so I had you play my assistant in the movie so that you were always
Where's
there.
my boy? Where is my boy? Boy, where are you?
And by, I think, like, it was only a 14-day shoot. And by, like, day 8, you were spending more time trying to, like, make time with some of the people on the crew, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I was promised an education into the world of filmmaking, and, you know.
Well, you're supposed to show up to class.
All right, well, listen, you'll get a kick out of this. This is me handling you. Michael, you'll enjoy this too. Probably everyone on staff there. This is me handling you. When you were upset, what's that?
I feel like this is fun half material.
I was very upset by that.
Okay.
Okay, let's hear it.
I'll call back in the fun half if you want.
No,
but anyway, I'll surmise that you're like, dude, this is a fuck up. This is a. It had to.
No, let's hear it. How long is it?
Us sharing a lens. Remember, we had that anamorphic lens that we both like went in on, so we could share it. It's old technology, so you could make like 16:9 images on a DV camera. Do you remember that? Yeah. So wait here. Let me see if I can hold on.
How long is it?
Let's see.
What the fuck, dude? When's it coming back?
It should be back in the next 2 days. But I don't know. So if you need to count on it, I wouldn't count on it.
Dude, this is a fuck up.
Yeah, all right. So we'll fix it.
That's it?
There's way more. You want to hear more?
Yeah, keep playing. He sounds like a yeast infection. I love it.
Anyway, well, I mean, that's the thing, is that, like, I was going to do it on the fly with Joe. And now don't really have that flexibility.
Right. Well, I needed to fix my camera, and the only way that they could do it was to see the lens with it, so I really had no choice.
Did you need to fix it with the lens now, though?
What's that?
Did you need to fix it with the lens now?
Yeah, because I'm shooting something, and if I want to shoot it and have it work, I'll need to fix it.
When are you shooting this thing?
I wanted to shoot something on Sunday. But I'm a slave to whenever they fix it, too.
You also sound really annoying.
You know, this is really annoying because
no, that's exactly what I just said.
Me buying this right now so that I could do pickups without having to get to do it on the fly.
Yeah, I hear you.
Not rent. I mean,
I hear you. Believe me, I wish I didn't have to fix the camera. I wish it worked right away.
There's more like that, but I just love how.
I gotta say, man, I actually come off as much
like,
calmer than I thought I would.
This could be like
and you're sitting there.
An ad for
you're sitting there
listening to both of you. Jesus,
you're just sitting there. You're just sitting there, like, well, that's the way it is. Like you're coming off.
Sam,
I gotta say, Matthew,
at this,
you're coming off like a real
of
jerk.
Learning how to handle you, so this seems like
you're coming off like a real jerk. Like,
no, but that
sorry.
is, to be fair, that is how
I broke
you need
it,
to handle
and
Sam, though. That is true.
I broke it, and I'm also suffering too from the fact that I broke it, even though you paid for it.
Away to fix with my camera, and you're like, I need that lens. God damn it!
You know what? I didn't sound like that.
You know what Sam's trying to do? Sam's trying to do a Jew Kennedy impression. That sounds like a Kennedy tape where he's like, that was a fuck up, wasn't it?
You know what?
It was a real fuck up. Oh, we got it ready.
I'll tell you what that was.
We got it ready.
During a bad situationist, I had a heavy accent like that.
We got it. You want to hear
it?
it?
I still had it.
You want to hear it?
Hear what?
We got it ready.
Sure.
Matt and I's brains work in the same way.
What do you mean?
General? Yes, sir. That Air Force has caused itself more grief with that silly bastard. Did you see the post this morning?
Yes, sir. I'm looking.
See that fella's picture by the bed?
Yes, sir.
And you see that furniture they bought from Jordan Marsh? What the hell do they let the reporters in there for? Are they crazy up there? Now you know what's going to do. Any congressman's going to get up and say, Christ, if they can throw $5,000 away on this, let's cut them another $1 billion. You just sank the Air Force budget. You're crazy up there. Are they crazy? That silly bastard with his picture next to the bed?
I'll take that.
I'm appalled, but...
I want to find out if we pay for that furniture, because I want it to go back to Jordan Marsh.
Who is he talking to?
An Air Force general. I'll look up exactly who it is in a second.
But I do, but I will. I have to say it.
We have to get to the fuck up.
Okay, yeah,
though.
get to the fuck up. Keep going. Sorry.
Well, it's also going to suck if you have to pay $300 to rent that lens that you just paid $400 to buy.
Matt was just playing the actual one. Here's
All right, back to Kennedy.
Wait, yeah, we're going back to Kennedy.
Then I want that fella
That's
who's
him
confident
hitting
who
me that I have
takes
to
next Mr.
cough up the
Kennedy's
cash
bed.
for the
That's
fuck
what
up.
it is. I mean, he's a silly bastard. I wouldn't have him running a cat house. Christ, they're not all incompetent. Is that the way they're throwing money around over there? You better look into it, and especially when you told me that they hadn't spent a cent.
Well, sir, this is obviously...
Well, this is obviously a fuck-up.
Okay. right.
So good.
I don't know. Are people
That's
surprised
so good.
that?
When was the
are people
last
surprised
time
that Kennedy?
a president spoke to the military like that?
Yeah, we
It's
need a
great.
president that can talk to the military like that.
But Matthew did handle you the way you need to be handled when you're having any sort of tantrum, which is just like, okay, we'll work on
I'm
it.
sorry. There is no one who listened to that. Maybe there's more, but I was not having a tantrum. I was like, oh, dude, this is a fuck up. That's not a tantrum.
You were just taking some Xanax and listening to Kennedy.
On a tantrum, you just stomp on like cardboard boxes.
Yeah, I will
right,
kick
that's true.
stuff
When you
physically.
God damn it, it's not
I mean, I
working.
probably was,
Hello?
but I don't know how I was maintaining my voice on the phone. All right, is there any other part of it, Matthew? Do I get angrier?
Dude, just fuck up.
Yeah, there's my next favorite part is when you're like, well, you're not gonna like it when you got to pay $300 to rent a lens that you spent $400 to buy.
That I'm not going to.
No, I am. You were telling me. Wait here.
And now don't really have that flexibility. Yeah, this is really annoying because this was the whole point of me buying this right now so that I could do pickups. Well, it's also going to suck if you have to pay $300 to rent that lens that you just paid $400 to buy.
Silly bastard.
$300?
Well, I mean, if we rent it for 2 days.
Wasn't it $50 a day the last time?
It was $150.
I don't know about that. I thought that was for 3 days.
Well, maybe it was for 3 days. Oh, either way.
Yeah, either way it sucked. But, whatever.
Can you get them to
Yeah, okay, hold on, Matthew. Wait a second. I just said, hold on. All right. No,
that's the highlight.
I
but
said
it's
going to
be
suck for
$150 a
me.
day, isn't it? 50
It's going to suck
oh,
for
yeah.
me to pay $300 to rent a lens that I just paid $400 to buy.
Yeah. Are you getting mad again about this?
Yes,
now?
I am. I totally forgot about this, and I don't even remember the specifics of it, but Jesus. You got to get your shit together, buddy.
I think it worked out. I don't think it impeded the success of the film in any way.
Well, when was that from? What month? And was it?
Think
Must have been in
around
August.
2005. I think when you were revisiting the film.
No. Joe was off the film.
So maybe 2002 or 3?
No,
yeah, maybe
it was
2.
probably the
2002.
summer.
I'm still trying to place some of the times on some of these. But
I think it was the
yeah,
summer
maybe you're right,
of
2002.
2001. I think it was the
well,
summer.
Well, it
of
wouldn't have been. I think it probably got revisited in the spring of 2002. So it's somewhere in that area. But the two of us have grown by leaps and bounds, both professionally and emotionally in that time, haven't we, Sam?
Well, I mean, now I know not to split a lens with you, if that's what you mean, because I'll get screwed.
Last time we went in on any assets.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've grown in that way.
Parentheses,
All right, well,
parentheses.
All right. Michael's spending too much time in the era of Trump. It's all just all white nationalist
all
jokes.
white nationalist jokes.
All
That's right.
So, Matthew, what is the film recommendation for this week?
So this week I want to talk about a Turkish film that I've been meaning to show to my class for a long time because I have gotten way into the Turkish director Nuri Bilge Ceylan, which I probably have been butchering his name this whole time because maybe Michael can help me out with the Turkish pronunciations on these names. But Ceylan, I believe it's pronounced Ceylan. And he's made some amazing movies over the last couple of years. What's that?
That's close.
Michael's pretending he thinks it's relatively close.
I'm pretending I think it's relatively close.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm pretending to be grateful for that interruption. This movie is called Clouds of May, and it's from 1999. Now, Ceylan made some of the last few big hits at Cannes Film Festival, Winter Sleep, and I think I actually recommended his film Once Upon a Time in Anatolia.
You did.
But
I got
this
to
is
check
going
your
back to
I got to
his
check my
origin, which I think is
IMDb,
really owes a lot. What's that?
I got to check my IMDb bookmark. But yes, okay.
Yeah, go to that link. It might be in there. But his early films were highly influenced by Abbas Kiarostami and the kind of Iranian mode of neorealism meets kind of documentary, kind of you don't know what's real and what's based on fiction. And his first film was called The Town, and it was about life in this small kind of rural town in Turkey. And his second film, which is this one, Clouds of May, it takes a kind of pseudo kind of documentary look, even though it's not a documentary style, but it's kind of about him making that first movie. So it's about a filmmaker who comes from the big city of Istanbul, and he seems like a big muckety-muck to the people who live in this small town, and he's there to kind of make the film that he wants to make. And it's sort of that mix of he's trying to be honest about his experience, but he's also kind of exploiting his family and his friends. And it's got a lot of echoes of Chekhov's final play, The Cherry Orchard, because his father plays this character who's obsessed with the local town wanting to chop down this grove of trees that he owns. And meanwhile, his connection to the land is being threatened. His son just wants to kind of make this, it's like almost like in quotes, this realistic film. And it's got a lot of things to say about humanity's connection to the land and kind of our distancing from the earth through our industrialized society. But it also features this child who is told by his mother that if you can keep this egg in your pocket for 30 days without breaking, I will buy you this fancy watch that you want. And you kind of watch this kid go through this real loss of innocence. It's kind of funny and sad at the same time as he finds out, like, he can lie about the egg and he has to kind of do what the adults say, but he's, like, learning to manipulate them. It's chilling and it's hilarious. And it's got some of the most gorgeous photography that you'll see on a very kind of shoestring budget. So there's lots more I could say about this, but I know my time is limited, so I will wrap it up by saying go see Clouds of May by Nuri Bilge Ceylan. I do believe it's on a Criterion disc. I'm not exactly sure where you can stream it, but
you know what?
It is worth seeking out.
I've just heard, and Matthew, you're going to be very excited about this. I've just heard that in New York City, you can go with a library card. I think you might be able to stream it on your computer now.
Yes, I just heard that yesterday. That's exciting, that if you have a current library in Brooklyn and a New York City library card, you can stream a ton of movies.
A ton of movies, the entire Criterion collection.
Really? Wow.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yes, it's amazing. We live in the future, folks. We've made it. We are in the future. We can do that for free. I love it.
Now
you don't have to go to the library. I mean, when I first got into being like a film geek and would go and consume lots of movies, I would rent 3-4 VHS tapes from the local libraries every city I lived in. It's an amazing resource, and I'm glad that it's being updated to bring people what they need to see without having to actually leave their house.
Matthew.
That's pretty crazy.
May I ask him a question? Sorry.
Let me just ask. Why this movie now? It just happens that you've come across it, or is there something?
It actually has a lot of echoes. Just kind of, I try to recommend movies that are not necessarily singularly topical. Sometimes I go that way, but I've just been in love with this filmmaker, so I'm trying to kind of be a completist and go through all of his movies. And this one
so it's nepotism.
Really blew me away.
It's nepotism. It's nepotism.
What nepotism?
It's nepotism. You're in love with the filmmaker. You're pushing his work.
I guess. Wouldn't nepotism imply that I was related to him somehow? But I mean, but
I don't know.
This is just a guy that I'm here to say doesn't get a lot of mainstream press. He's kind of known in the cinephile realm, and people need to check out his work.
Michael?
I rewatched this relatively recently, and can I ask your thoughts briefly and maybe make this a secondary recommendation? Raise the Red Lantern. Thoughts?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Wait, you're coming in with your own movie?
That's a great movie.
What?
I want to get Matthew's thoughts on it, because if he thought it was bad, we could discount it completely.
Well, that's very nice of you to say.
See?
But
Silly bastard.
I saw that movie years and years ago when Zhang Yimou was still making kind of prestige art movies and not the kind of action kung fu types that he's
and
later
also
become,
challenging the Chinese government, because he went from a guy whose movies would get banned, but then get and now he makes these martial arts movies that are still actually awesome to watch, but basically like allegories for why you should support the Chinese state.
Right, yeah. I mean, Red Sorghum, Judao, Razor Red Lantern, To Live, these were all movies that I really was impressed by back in the day that they came out, back when, you would just see, there was like the indie film theater that would show like 2 movies every month, and one of them was one of those or one of the Three Colors trilogy. So I can't say that I've delved deeply into his works, but Razor Red Lantern was definitely one that struck me at the time. So, yeah, recommended. I believe Razor Red Lantern, that is a metaphor for going to war, right? Isn't that kind of the symbol for war?
No, it's a gender. That's the sort of, the contrast. It's the Raise the Red Lantern is which house of which wife, and master is literally what he's called. Like the husband visits at night, and the internal politics between the wives in this incredibly misogynist situation. And it's like, it's just interesting because it's super beautiful, but like in a sick way. Yes. It's like a rotted fruit or something. I don't know. That's a really striking movie. I don't know why. I rewatched it recently.
Yeah. I like it. The rotted fruit, the oversweet, overripened fruit. That's nice imagery, Michael. Very nice.
Yes. Speaking of
Film Guy Michael.
All right, guys.
Squeeze the juice out of the segment even further.
What do you know about film, you Philistine?
Matthew. So the name of the film is, one more time?
Clouds of May. And I'll just give you a tip. It's kind of like the main character says that I hate the month of May. The father character says, I hate the month of May because it always means something bad is going to happen, which is weird because usually you think May is spring and renewal. So it's a very kind of complex
imagery. So it's like the
there,
Ides of March.
Yeah, very good, Sam. Very good.
Film Guy Matthew, it is always. Oh, wait.
Not a good
movie. All right, go ahead. Plug one eBay.
Oh, well, for instance, I just want everyone to go on to this is an eBay victory past, but I want you to go onto my Twitter and see that finally that amazing great themes of movie scores past was bought and has been given a very nice home by a particular listener whose name I will keep private for now. But you can see it on display proudly in front of his taxidermy stuffed cat. I'm not sure if it's a real cat or not. I don't want to know.
That's the picture.
But you can go and see how that has found a nice home. And just keep your eyes on my eBay link, and eventually maybe something like that could be in your house in
That
front of your cat.
sounds like a really weird home.
Can I make a prediction? Sam's not going to watch this one.
Did you see it? Yeah.
Probably not.
No, you're not going to see
short
this one.
term.
Sam, no, I've given up on hoping Sam will watch them.
I'm glad actually that we have all these on IMDb because I'm just saving up.
I think you'll watch Punishment Park if you haven't yet. I think you'd watch.
Well, Film Guy Matthew, thank you so much for your time today. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure for me, Sam. Take care now.
Bye.
It was a
all
fuck up,
folks.
wasn't it?
All right. Listen. That was no Scarramucci tape. Let's put it that way.
No, that really. That's the other problem is that this guy he's really set every meltdown into perspective.
I mean,
I'm not Benjamin. I'm not trying to suck my own cock.
Let's listen to that Scarramucci tape. We're going to take a break. We're going to take a break and head into the fun half.
Do we want to use the fun wow as the bridge? It's 50 seconds, so. It's the new jingle.
50 seconds.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Let's give it a try.
Fun half like that.
Sure. Oh, and I should just remind you, folks, that it's your support that makes this show possible. By becoming a member, you support the free show, and as a way of saying thank you, we give you extra content. Go to jointhemajorityreport.com. And folks, if you can't afford it, send us an email. Give us a little bit of time, but we will hook you up if you want the fun half. We don't want anyone locked out for financial reasons. So join themajorityreport.com. or send us an email at majorityreporters@gmail.com. Also, justcoffee.coop, fair trade coffee, tea, or chocolate. Use the coupon code majority, get 10% off. And if you buy your crap from Amazon or jet.com, please do so through our link at majorityreportkickback.com. You will notice no difference, but we get a little kickback. That's why we call it majorityreportkickback.com. And now a substitute bridge to the fun half. Who sent us this?
He's looking it up.
I don't want to give away anything.
Just
Chris.
What's Chris? All right,
Yeah.
listener Chris, and it's 50 seconds long. I mean, are we gonna? Have you listened to it? I mean, are we gonna?
I have not. This might be a surprise.
All right. Well, we may go the entire thing. 50 seconds is a pretty long bridge. Could be a bridge too far, if you know what I mean. But let's hear it. Okay, folks, I'm gonna head into the fun half.
Yeah.